Let me say good evening and thanks for joining me. My name is Damian Phillips, and let me welcome you to DP Unfiltered. It is Tuesday evening. It is Tuesday evening. It is Tuesday evening. Caribbean Radio HD. Caribbean Radio HD. Are you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for that? So, a bunch of things have been happening. A bunch of things have been happening, and I'm getting a live call. So should I take this on the radio or should I not take it on the radio? Good evening, sir. Really? Me and me there your attack and I said good evening and I hear myself and I'm my earphone. So yeah, me hearing yeah. But okay. All right, respect. So that is sorted out now. That is sorted out. Maybe a guy is hearing it delayed, but I have been live since 8 o'clock. So again, let me say welcome to DP Unfiltered live on Caribbean Radio HD. A bunch of things have been happening, and we're going to talk about them. Uh Labor done. Labor done. A Tuesday night, you call it. You're Bridging? So I hope you're listening and I hope you're tuning and stuff. But I heard something over the weekend. It was brought to my attention over the weekend that the what is it called? The position. I don't want to get it wrong. The opposition leader was talking. The opposition leader was talking. Listening. Okay, see there. And stuff. But I heard something. I don't want to hear you back over there. So he was at a meeting and he made a comment, and I don't know because I hear some people apologizing for him and saying that he didn't mean it that kind of way there. I don't know what it meant. I don't know what it meant. So I'm gonna play it for you because I want to hear your feedback, like what you think he meant when he said what he said. Right? I'm gonna play it for you in a minute, but just in case you're wondering, what is this you're hearing? If you weren't here last week Tuesday night, then that's the only way you would be wondering. But if you were here, you'll know that this is a brand new show on Caribbean Radio HD. Brother Gary said, DP, one talk show up on the radio, talk show. So we have 1 hour to talk, and I want it to be interactive, right? So when my guests are here, whosoever I have on, even if I am talking, I want you to call me and share your views because I want to hear. So I'm going to play for you um the opposition leader, Mark Golden. And like I said, I want to hear from you guys what you got from it. All right, so let's try this again.
Who put them up to a star?
Okay,
But
there we go. It's never good when things come out or slip out.
In her division on Sunday, that quote, the JLP boy, them just a shot themselves in them foot. And his description of Jamaica's unsuccessful campaign for Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith to serve as Commonwealth Secretary General as an embarrassment.
So, comrades, I feel like the PNP starting to get some wins in its sails, you know? Yeah, it has been a rocky road. I love the vibes. I feel everybody starting to show each other some real, genuine friendship, comradeship, and love, and we're getting the momentum from it. And the JLP boy, them not stop shot themselves and them own a foot. And you know, Kamina, she did her best still. I mean, this her today, but I just think the whole thing was a complete, colossal, misguided mistake. And an expensive one at that. And they have egg on their faces again. It don't make no sense to push out and you might lose. What kind of fool it? I don't know who put them up to the star, but when I tell you the truth, it's an embarrassment.
So I don't know if you heard what I heard, but
Part
I
was
heard
funny,
the
but she
JLP
says the
boy them,
disrespect.
the JLP boy them not stop shoot themselves in a them foot, right? But anyways, that is going to be a part of the discussion. Now I'm going to bring on my guests. Good evening, Lady D. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am great, and of course, when I'm in your company, it's even better, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Like over a year, don't it?
Yeah.
Over a year. All right, so Lady Dallas is in the building, and I used to have this thing where I do not like to advertise my topics, and I don't know why. Maybe I believe in jinx and all of that. But this evening, what we're going to talk about is what are we going to what are we talking about? We are talking about the revocation of the Supreme Court, the decision to reverse the Roe throws abortion rights basically out the door. So I see my friend made a post on Facebook the other day, and I'm going to paraphrase. She said, "Yes, well, I guess the hot girls." Summer canceled because what was it? I don't remember, and I tried to bring it up, but it's not coming up. Talk to me, D.
No, it was that since Roe v. Wade was overturned, hot girl
Mhm,
summer is canceled. So you got a lot of girls who go around spending their summer, engaging in what we call thought behavior. I don't know what you call it, but they like to have their sexual freedom, their
mhm,
sexual liberations, but they don't want to be responsible. They want to be able to go out and have those abortions. They want to be able to negate parental responsibility. They
mhm,
want to be able to determine their own future. And they use abortion as a means of contraception. And abortion should have never been used as a means of contraception. So now that you are being forced into parenthood in a lot of states now it may calm down some of this extracurricular activity.
mhm, mhm, mhm. All right, so we have a call already, but we're not ready to take calls yet. So, guys, give me a minute. So, I don't know if Dallas know, but we're live on Caribbean Radio HD. They're all over United States. So later on, we'll be taking calls, and they have a lot of viewers and listeners. So, those, and this is a warning for the callers. Remember, it's a live radio. So I expect you guys to act accordingly. You understand? I remember make sure I put out a disclaimer, although I heard that disclaimer don't really work anymore. Views expressed aren't necessarily those of Caribbean Radio HD, are of Damian Phillips, are of DP Unfiltered. However, the show is entitled DP Unfiltered, so we're going to talk the things them. So thanks again, Dallas, for being here.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem, and it's going to be enough more time, just like all the previous time. And you already know, the previous time, like you talk things that a lot of people don't want to hear, and they're going to get riled up. And but I love it. I love it. I love it. So I see the chat room. Good night, Carlene. Carisha is here. And big up, guys. All right, I'll be trying to monitor the chat room and talk. So this law, I don't know what it is. I mean, it was before I was born, 1973. Was it a law? Who is Roe v. Wade? Give us some history about it.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Roe v. Wade, or let's say Jane Roe, whose real name is Norma McCorvey, basically, she was a woman who was pregnant. She was underprivileged. She wasn't living in her best of circumstances. She had already had two children that she had given up for adoption. And when she got pregnant with her third baby, she didn't want to have it and she didn't want to go through that process again. So she was seeking an abortion, unfortunately, in Texas when this happened, because this all started in Texas. Abortion was illegal unless there was a medical need for the abortion. So there was this organization called NARAL, NARAL, and they basically founded the whole movement for Roe v. Wade.
Mhm,
There were a couple of founders. One was Larry Lader. He actually launched NARAL. Larry Lader was a historian, and what he basically did was he documented abortion history in America, and it was later found out that he documented it incorrectly. There was also Dr. Nathanson, who was one of the guys who performed, I think it was 7,000 abortions in his career, made $20 million. He was also accused, admitted that he had told lies to New York Times, the Washington Post, things of that nature about the effects of not having legal abortions in America. He had said that there were 1 million back alley abortions every year, which we found out that that was a lie. He later came out and revealed that it was only 100,000 illegal abortions per year and not 1 million. So they peddled all these lies to the media to get everybody riled up. They also were joined by the leader of the women's rights movement, and basically what they wanted was abortions on demand. What they needed was a victim. Basically, they needed someone who was underprivileged, somebody who was young, dumb, um, didn't really know much about anything that they could basically use. So they reached out to these Planned Parenthood lawyers. So they found the two Planned Parenthood lawyers, Linda Coffey and Sarah Weddington. Sarah Weddington was the blonde haired, blue eyed girl that got credit for the Roe decision because she's the one who actually tried the case in the Supreme Court. However, Linda Coffey was actually the individual who was the brains behind the entire movement. She's the one who filed the petition in Dallas. Was crazy. Norma actually, I hear an echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Okay.
It's recently started, but go ahead. Let me see if it's cleared up.
So Norma actually lived in Houston. The reason why the petition was filed in Dallas was because they happened to know the female judge that was sitting on the bench in Dallas. So all of it was founded on lies. The abortion numbers, the fact that people they leaked fake stories like 60% of the American public approved of it, 80 something percent of doctors did, and they were all lies. So then they found out nobody knew who Jane Roe was. The reason why they used the pseudonym Jane Roe is because they didn't want to reveal who she was, because if they knew who she was, Roe v. Wade would have never happened.
Mm.
So for some history about Jane Roe, she was a runaway, she was a drunk, she was a liar, she was a thief, she was a drug addict, she was a drug dealer, and she lied about being raped. She lied about, she said basically somebody had raped her, and that's why she wanted to have an abortion. There were stories that she said it was done by a black man. I don't know if that's true, but
Mm.
she did admit that she told somebody asked her, was it by a black guy? So everything about that was a lie. They have documentaries that have come out saying that, hey, Roe, even Jane Roe herself or Norma McCorvey admitted that she lied about being raped. She admitted to a lot of things. The doctors that came out and said that they lied. Larry Later, who came out and said that, everything was a lie. They had all written books since then. The Planned Parenthood attorneys wrote books, and they have basically lied. So now that all this information has come forward, and not only that, in 1973, sonogram technology was not available in the U.S. It wasn't until the late 70s that it was used in hospitals in America. And
All up, Dallas. Don't lose your train of thought. But I'm seeing now, I'm getting feedback that this one says, Sir DP, it's breaking up, can't hear. Can you just go out and come back in? It's the same link that's supposed to take you in, because I heard you clear and I want everybody to be able to hear. All right, so please grant me that favor, D. All right, so if you're just joining us, it's live, and I want to say thanks to Melrose. Melrose just send that in and say, can't hear. It is breaking up. Let me know if you're hearing me though, Melrose. Are you hearing me clear? Because I, yeah, I was hearing the breaking up myself, and we want the information to go out so people can hear. So I'm getting the history of the Roe v. Wade situation. How this, I just grew up. Like I said, this was in 1973. This law thing was put in place 1973. That's 7 years before I was born. So I only grew up on hearing people talking about it. So let's rejoin Dallas, and let's hope the audio is better now. Let's try. 1, 2, 3.
all right, 1, 2, 3. Everybody
Yeah,
good?
I'm hearing you now. I hope it remains good. Hi.
All right.
So you can continue.
All right. So back in the early 70s, sonogram technology was not available in the US. It was only being used, I can't remember the country right now. But it was until the late 70s that they had sonogram technology. So
Mhm.
they were arguing ages of viability. Was this actually a human being? At what point in stage in the development was it? So Dr. Nathanson, who was one of the founders of NARAL, who also lied about information that was leaked to the press, the first time he actually witnessed a sonogram or a baby on a sonogram, that was when he realized that this actually is a baby, this actually is a human being. And he reduced his abortions to only women who needed them because of medical reasons, because of
Mhm.
safety, endangerment to the life of the child or the mother. Then it came to a point where he just stopped performing abortions altogether. But what's happened is over the course of time, now that we have the sonogram technology, now that all the information has come out that all of these people that were responsible for Roe v. Wade all lied. So the case in itself was founded on a lie. Jane Roe was never raped. She was like I said, she was a trollop. She was a drunk, a thief, a runaway, a liar, all of that. And so when all those stories came out, if you look at what Justice Alito wrote, who said that Roe v. Wade was egregiously wrong from the start, that's what he meant. Because if you look at the data today, based on what happened back in 1973, you realize now that all of that was a lie. So this was the biggest Supreme Court case in American history, founded on lies.
Wow. And Melrose said that we're good now, so they're hearing you loud and clear.
Perfect.
And let me make sure I put this out there, because back in the day when I used to do what I'm doing now, people would form their opinion and it would come with hate and grudge and all of this. We're not here to condemn nobody, right, Dallas?
Right.
We're just here to go ahead.
Yeah, I don't care what you do with your body. It's not for me to say. My argument is, in today's environment, you have women that are chasing equality. They're equal to men. They're everything a man is. They can do everything a man can do.
Mhm.
But women have never been willing to suffer the consequences of men. So look at it like this. When a man and a woman, they have sexual relationships, a pregnancy is a result. He tells her, I'm not ready to be a parent. Or say he even used prophylactic and it broke, or a hole got ripped, or whatever the case may be, and it was an accident. But there was evidence that he used prophylactic and he was trying to avoid a pregnancy. That same woman can make the unique decision to keep that child, regardless of what the father said. If she decides to take him to family court or go to welfare offices for government assistance, the state is going to sue him and make him responsible. That's what child support is. They're forcing the father to be financially responsible for a child, but we've never forced the mother into parenthood. So when it comes to avoidance, the only option that a man has is contraceptives prior to avoid the pregnancy.
Mhm.
Same thing as women. Both of you should be responsible for using contraceptives or having responsible sex.
Yes.
But even using contraceptives are not 100%. But after the pregnancy happens, the man has lost his right to determine whether or not he's ready to become a parent, while the mother maintains that. So not only does she have the contraceptive use prior to getting pregnant to avoid the pregnancy, she also, for the last 50 years, has been federally able to have an abortion up until birth in some places.
Mhm.
But not only that, even when you bring the baby to term, we have things called safe havens and adoptions and things of that nature.
Yes.
So if a woman decides to have a baby, whether dad is in the picture or not, she can, when the baby's 10 months old, she can decide that, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not prepared to be a parent. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. She can drop that baby off at a safe haven and nobody bats an eye. So not only does she have the
Was it
option,
you that told me about the post box or the mailbox?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
called safe havens. Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the woman has more options than men. So we've never, for the last 50 years, we have not made women be responsible for the mistakes that they make, for the acts of sex that they engage in. But the man's only option is to prevent the pregnancy. But once it happens, the mother is the only one that has had the option to decide when she becomes a parent. Now, when they made that decision, they based it on constitutional rights. They based it on the due process clause in the 14th Amendment, which basically says that no person should be robbed of property without due process. They based it on the right to privacy, but none of those infer a right to an abortion. The right to privacy or medical privacy, it just means that someone else cannot access your medical records without your permission. Your parents can't, not unless they're taking care of you, not unless you're there, they're your agent or whatever the case may be. Your boss can't get your medical records without your permission. You still have medical privacy, but medical privacy never inferred that you were entitled to an abortion just because it was being performed by a doctor. When it comes to life, liberty, and now it's been inferred to as the pursuit of happiness. So they've tried to say that because we have life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, then that means you have the right to determine your own future. You have the right to set your path in life. And if having a baby interferes with that path, that's why you have the right to an abortion. The problem is that the constitutionality of it that they claim that they had doesn't just apply to female citizens, it applies to American citizens. But we've never allowed dad to determine that he's not ready to be a father once the pregnancy happened. But
And why
mom,
is that? Why is that so though? Why is that?
um, honestly, The only thing I can say is it's gender bias. That's
Mm.
all.
So what
And
about the argument that I hear that, listen, it is the woman's body, she's entitled to whatever happens inside of it, so that I like bar the rights of the man.
right. Okay. So two things about that. One, all the women that are hollering my body, my choice were also the same women that were saying we need to force a vaccine when COVID-19 hit. So which one is it? Is it my body, my choice or not? So it's
Mm.
my body, my choice when you want to remove something that occurs naturally, because a pregnancy is naturally occurring. It's what we're here to procreate, right?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
yet and still, you don't want to believe in the my body, my choice when a government institution wants to force a foreign substance into your body. So it's either my body, my choice all the time, or it's not my body, my choice anytime. So
Mm.
there's that contradiction. Also, when it comes to my body, my choice, another thing women don't realize, it might be your body, your choice, but if the fetus is a living human being, what about their body? What about their choice?
Before we go on with that, so I was kind of teasing, which I always do. I was teasing this topic somewhat on Facebook yesterday, a day ago, and I post, which I'm going to post to you too and to all my listeners. Good evening. It's 22 minutes past 8 where I'm at. I'm actually in Columbus, Ohio. Dallas is where you from tonight, Dallas, Texas?
Actually in South Carolina right now.
South Carolina. And we're live in Caribbean Radio HD. Carisha says, I'm against abortion. Have the baby and put the baby up for adoption. Thanks for that. So I throw this out on Facebook. Not taking calls yet, guys. I will let you know when we're taking calls. I promise you. You'll get to say your part. So this is a question that I asked because it's linked to the abortion thing. I said, is it fair or just to punish an unborn for to punish an unborn by terminating the pregnancy because it's from a unlawful encounter? Of course, you know everything now with algorithms, you have to code up what you say because they will block and say whatever. So this person commented, his name is John, and is after what I realized he's a former co-worker. But this is what he said. Yes, because it's not a person, it's a parasite, a clump of cell. Your bias is showing you may want to fix that for Jamaica's sake. So that argument comes in now where people who support the argument, because there's always for and against, which I think that is what democracy is. It shouldn't be one side pushing the other side in any way in our form. But this person is telling me that yeah, abortion, fine, no problem, because it's not a person, it's a cell. It's what would you say to that, Dallas?
Okay, in the United States, we have 38 states that have fetal protection laws. 29 of those 38 states consider those fetal protection laws in effect at conception. So, say you have a woman that, as somebody is robbing her, he ends up shooting her and she dies and the baby died too. Let's say she's 4 weeks pregnant. She doesn't even know she's pregnant yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they find out that she's pregnant, once they get her to the hospital and all that type of stuff. She dies, the baby dies. What happens is that man is placed in jail and he's on trial for double homicide. So if it's just a clump of cells, how do you have fetal protection laws in 29 states that started conception? If it's just a clump of cells, how is a man sitting in prison for deleting a woman that happened to be carrying a child and you're sitting in jail for double homicide? So it's either homicide on this, if it's homicide on this end, it's got to be homicide on the other end too.
I see what you're saying. And of course, I'm reading the comments, and Carisha says, even if a woman was raped, still have the baby and put it up for another or for adoption. That's what she's saying. What's your take on that? What would you say to that, Dallas?
For me, people can feel how they want to feel about that. I'm not one to say that abortion should be legal or really illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's going to be illegal in most situations, I do feel like that there ought to be options for those situations. No woman who's been a victim of rape or incest or molestation, things of that nature, should be forced to carry that child. Because you're not only having to relive the moment that incident happened, but now you're facing that for the full 9 months after the child is born. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens if you develop some sort of a bond with the child, but you're struggling with wanting to keep it? That's a hard struggle for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I believe that those exceptions should be there even if abortion is illegal. Because nobody should be forced to have to deal with that. Nobody should be forced to live in that victimhood. And to me, you're forcing them into that victimhood state for 9 months or more.
Which bring me to a part which, whenever I'm in a debate with people, I always draw for it because it's the first thing I hear. They always draw, and Damian Phillips is not making this up, people. The 1%, if you go and Google it, reasons women who seek abortion give. Rape and incest only represent 1%. Why is it the argument is always people go rape and incest?
Because that was pretty much the foundation of all of this. They wanted it for those safety issues, and so that's their go-to argument. That's how you make people feel guilty about their stance on abortion. That's how they make you feel bad about wanting to ban abortions, is they use that. But less than 1% are attributed to rape or incest. Not only is less than 1% attributed to that, but 7% total, like 4% for one, 3% for the other, are due to complications or threats to the woman's life or the child's life. So that means less than 8% are attributed to rape, attributed to incest or molestation, or safetyness of the health and well-being of the mother and or the child. So that means the 93% of y'all are having abortions just because you want to today.
Hmm.
So when you say, okay, if that's the case you want to ride on, if you want to say, well, what about the victims? Then if that's the case, why not only have abortion legal for those situations? They don't want that either. So that's just an argument that they use to keep abortion, but that's not the reason why women are getting abortions. Not in
Right.
the grand scheme of things.
And I pour it out. And guys, yes, I'll be opening the phone line in 3 minutes, 8:30 my time. The time is now 8:27. So I always, when people come at me and stuff, and I'm like, and I said this to one of my good friend actually rebutted it on Instagram. And I said, if abortion is or no, if rape is the cause for abortion, then we have some work to do. We need to start preventing rape. Of course, most feminists are, I realize people think a kind of way. They thought I was blaming women now to say it women are the cause of it. And I'm like, no, men are doing the rape. So we need to find, and I'm like, let's use your or whatever they're saying to say rape is the real cause or the main cause. Then that means by aborting the child, a lot of rape is still going around, and that's not fixing anything.
Right. You know what else I say to that? So we do have those situations and those women are victims. But there are also situations where women take advantage of underage boys. So there's this one story. It's a teacher. She was taking advantage of one of her younger male students. They were having a relationship, but it's called statutory rape because he wasn't at the age that he could consent to an adult woman. So it's listed as
Was it the one that had the boys over at her house? I think I saw a story.
I don't know about
I
that
think he's
part.
from
What
Texas too.
the
But
part of the
yeah,
story
go
I
ahead.
know what happened afterwards. So she gets
Mhm.
pregnant, she brings the baby to term. Once that boy turns 18, that she's statutorily raped. Once he turned 18, do you know she put him on child support? Do you know she won that? Do you know a judge forced this boy who was a victim of statutory rape to
How?
support to a woman because states are incentivized to collect child support because they benefit from child support cases. That's why it's gender biased. That's why
Hmm.
85% of custody goes to women because they know women are going to seek those social services, government assistance, and all those things, and most men don't. So states get money for every dollar they collect in child support from the non-custodial parent, which is
Mhm.
most of the time going to be the father. But there are situations where women do the same thing to men, but yet and still. So not only was this young boy, a victim of statutory rape, but now he's forced to pay child support because he was a victim of statutory rape.
Wow.
So
Wow.
women can't have it both ways. And like I said, it's not that I'm against it, but women have been arguing this whole equality thing, and women have never been equal to men when it comes to the law.
Mhm.
Women have always, I'm not going to say women have always had more rights, but when it comes to abortion, women have always had more rights than men when it comes to determining when they become parents and what happens after a child is brought into this world. We've always forced that into parenthood. For the last 50 years, we have not been able to force mom into parenthood.
Hmm. All right. So as promised, the time is now 8:30 my time, and the phone line is open just in case you don't know it and you want to call. The number is 305-654-7944. That's 305-654-7944. 305-654-7944. And we're discussing the one of the latest judgments from the court. So I'm talking to Dallas, who is an American. I am not, and I wanted to hear some more. The court system. I used to say this even back in Jamaica that I don't really trust the court system because it's not about truths and facts. And even now with the Supreme Court, where if Democrat is in power, they try to ram it up with Democrats justices. If Republican, how does that, is that a good or a bad thing? How would you see it?
It all
All right.
depends on.
While you're thinking, let's take this first call. Hello, good evening. You're live.
Hello.
Hello, you're live.
Yes, DP.
But you can you
First of
can you
all,
can you turn our pause here, Alexa? I'm hearing back myself.
okay. First of all, can I get an introduction to that lady you're talking to? Who is she?
You need an Please introduce yourself, Dallas.
My name is
Yeah,
Dallas
we
D.
don't know who she is or where she's from.
She's about to do that now.
Yeah, my name is Dallas D. I'm actually from Dallas, Texas. And I have been an
I can't
advocate
hear her.
for 'em.
You can't hear her.
No, I'm hearing you, but I can't hear her.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me fix that in one. Let me see if this work. Um. Go ahead, Dallas.
All right, so I'm Dallas D out of Dallas, Texas, and I'm actually an advocate for child support reform.
You hearing her now?
Okay. Yes, I
Okay.
heard that.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Okay. No. I am coming down to the abortion story. And I had a question when I was calling before, but then she answered it in the meantime that if she was one that was raped by her father about abortion, but somehow she sort of understood, she sort of explained that. But
Are you hearing her, Dallas?
Not really.
All right, hold on, hold on, caller. Let me try to.
Men, child support, and rape, and a woman having a child, and I don't think she has ever experienced any of the above.
I didn't hear everything that you said.
That's okay though. Dallas. But yes, caller. So I have a guest on. If you have a question you want to ask, I can understand that. But I'm asking the question, and I didn't ask her if she was raped or whatever. That is irrelevant to the discussion right now. Yes, she was saying that she wanted to ask while she was waiting to call if you were raped by your father and some stuff that don't make no sense to me. Let me just say it. Like I say, unfiltered. So yeah.
But I addressed that. I don't believe that you should not be able to obtain one. Like I said, I don't care what side of the argument people are on. I don't. Me myself, I wouldn't have one. But I also don't believe that I should be able to determine what somebody else does with their life because your life doesn't impact me. My issue is that women want equality, but they don't want equality. They want special privileges that's mirrored or packaged in equality. So, like I said, I do believe that in situations of rape or incest, a woman should not be forced to carry that baby to term. Yet and still, that's the only argument they want to stand behind is the victims of rape, the victims of incest. But that literally makes up less than 1% of why women get abortions. So in America, there have been 63 plus million abortions in America since the 1973 Roe decision. Of that 63%, 63 million abortions, less than 1%, so less than 600,000, are attributed to rape or incest. So that can be the argument they stand behind, but that's not why women are getting abortions in America.
And it's true. So my thing is, we have what 26 minutes remaining, and guys, you can call the number. Let me give you the number again. It is 305-654-7944. 305-654-7944. So Empress is in the building. Empress MJI and Skirby Radio family. She's just joining. Are you just joining? We're talking about the revocation. Let me ask you this, because I said this is when I invited you. This why the upsets? And I heard even this evening places like El Salvador is affected by this ruling. Why this outrage? I saw even a Christian woman post I think the day after the announcement that she need to move to the motherland, referring to Africa. Why so many people are upset about the overturn ruling?
I
And you
think for
can link it with the court thing I was asking you earlier too.
I think for two reasons. One, because women have been accustomed to negating parental responsibility. So it's something that they're used to. But I think the biggest reason is, and you said it in the beginning, when you were born, Roe was already in existence. The 1973 decision happened before you were born, much like myself. So you have to consider the people that are here in America right now. Most people alive in America have only known a world with Roe v. Wade because it was in existence before I was even born. So most of us that are alive only know a world where abortion is legal. It's only the baby boomers that know what a world is like prior to abortion being legal or federally a federal right. So
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest part of the outrage. If your entire life you've had what they call a right, you've been indoctrinated to believe that this is a constitutional right. To see it overturned, I can understand why they're in shock because they don't know what a pre-abortion world looks like. To them, they've only learned that this is a constitutional right their entire life.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think that's the main reason why everybody's so shocked.
Melrose says, I understand where Miss Dallas is coming from. Thank you very much, Melrose. I don't think it's hard to understand where she's coming from. So if you're just joining, let me welcome you to DP Unfiltered, and we're discussing one of the latest ruling because there are several other. Like every day, I keep on hearing a new one. One is the gun laws, and what's the other one? Something else was shocking, and I'm like, all right, really? But yeah, a bunch of stuff. But the hottest one is the revocation of the or the what do you call it? That's what you call it, or so you said it, revocation, or the what is it? The
We
repeal.
call it overturning. It
Yeah.
was overturning Roe.
Overturn. Right, right, right. So the part where, and this is maybe people like I'm not being sympathetic to females and whatever, but based on the ruling, what I got from it is that it won't be a federal thing. No, states get to choose what they want. So are we not still living a democracy? So why people are so upset? Because on a federal level, they're like, no, because that is how I see it. I don't even see it as a repealing, as you cannot do abortion. I see it where
Right.
each state now can actually decide what they want to do.
Right. And they can. And so everyone's outraged because it's no longer federally protected, which means nobody can press laws against you. You're not going to jail for anything. You don't have to go out of your way to seek an abortion. You don't have to travel across state lines. It's not
Mhm.
going to cost you extra money. But to me, in my opinion, and this may sound sensitive, but to me, that is women, again, not only wanting to negate responsibility, but not even wanting to be responsible for the financial aspect. You have women now saying that I'm going to have to cross state line to get an abortion. That's going to cost money. Okay, well, if you want an abortion, it's going to cost you money. So what? There is there are measures and steps that you can take to prevent an unwanted pregnancy. Abstinence, main one. But
Mhm.
we want our sexual freedom. We want our sexual liberation. So that comes at a cost. There are consequences to actions. And as adults, if you don't understand that there are consequences to actions, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to tell you. It just is what it is. So states are going to be making those decisions for themselves. And now what they're going to do is they're going to engage the American people to get back into politics. In America, we've gotten to a place where everybody goes out and votes for the president, but nobody goes out and votes for state electors and things of that nature. But
Yep.
these are the people that are going to be writing these laws. So
Mhm.
since that bill,
Hold on, caller. Let you finish up and then you can go. Go ahead, Dallas.
when they overturned Roe, they put the power back into the state's hand. 13 states had trigger laws that were already on the books that said the minute Roe is overturned, we're going to have this law that either takes effect immediately or goes into effect 30 days after. So there are some states in Oklahoma, for instance, in the state of Oklahoma, they were actually canceling abortion appointments the next day. The minute Roe was overturned, the next day they shut the Planned Parenthood sites down, all the clinics that were performing abortions, and they were literally telling women that we're sorry, we can't help you right now.
Mhm.
So I understand those women's outrage. You've had this appointment for a couple of weeks, you're going to get your abortion, the Roe decisions come down, and all of a sudden tomorrow you can't go get one. So like I said, I understand their outrage, but it's about being responsible for the choices you make in life. And we've got to make better choices. You can't have sexual freedom and not expect to have to suffer some of those consequences of that sexual. You
That's
just
a
is what
plane
it.
I'm hearing, right? That was a plane a while ago.
Yeah. Let me
Oh,
mute
okay. I
real.
was just making sure. All right, let me get the question. What's the question, caller? Welcome to DP Unfiltered.
Yes, a question for your coworker there. What
My guest,
about
actually.
what
She's my
happened,
guest.
or your guest,
Mhm.
right? What would she term, or what's her terminology of when a woman gets pregnant, or how would she classify it? When a woman gets pregnant and then have the baby and go throw it in McDonald garbage pan, or have the baby and put it on the train track and the train kills it. What Or terminology for that is.
All right, before I ask her, because I have to do an in between thing, what's your terminology? Because at the point you're putting forward the point, what's your terminology?
My terminology is that is still a form of abortion because you have the child, you carried it, you don't want it, and especially now, there's going to be a lot more babies in McDonald waste basket. There's going to be a lot more babies on the train track.
So
Okay,
what about
That's my question.
her question is you're hearing, she's not hearing you. All right, thank you for the question.
yeah,
You
I
can
heard.
listen back to your
And then
Alexa, and you will hear.
no, and then this is my last call. If you could just say that. But do you know, and I'm going to ask her too, that in the grocery stores, between Pepsi, Coke, and all the bushes that grow along the way, that's natural abortion. Good night.
All right, so when you ask the question, just listen on your device and go ahead, Dallas.
So for me, I kind of sort of agree with her. It is still a form of negating parental responsibility. The issue I have with that is we had that case before they overturned Roe. There are women who were finding children's bodies in freezers, dumped in the rivers, dumped in the lakes. Even when we had the right to an abortion, women were still hacking off their babies. We got stats that show that babies are more in danger when they live with a single parent who happens to be the mother than when they are with their father or when they're in the house with both parents. So we've always had that problem. My issue is women always want to go to after the fact, what happens after the pregnancy. But what about taking responsibility to prevent the pregnancy in the first place? Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to be sexually responsible. Nobody wants to stop having hot girl summers. And so here we are.
All right, Tanya Martin says, I understand all of this, but this is not about abortion, but responsibility, the pregnancy.
Exactly.
Notice the gun talk is off the table. Okay. Right. But yeah, and this is why I enjoy talking to you, Dallas, because I was a part of a group. What was a group called Jamaica Aid Support, and I was a teenager at the time, and what we did was we go into communities and schools and talk to teenagers about abstinence and about safe sex and all of these things. And I realized, and this was like in the 90s, and I realized since the 2000, like I don't hear nobody pushing, sexual responsibility anymore. It's more, and then that's where the whole reason come, or my body, my choice. And that was always my thing. Like, again, I said it at the beginning. So if you're just joining and you didn't hear, me and Dallas saying the same thing. You're free to do whatever you want to do with your body. It's your mind, it's your conscience. But I'm always questioning every time I hear about abortion rights, like, what about the preventative part of it? And then I hear, oh, sometimes men force women to have sex. And I'm like, all right. So he's forcing you to have sex. He's forcing you not to use a protection. And then late 90s, early 2000 came the emergency contraceptives. So I'm like, there are over 270 something method that if a woman don't want to get pregnant. Another thing, and this is biology, based on biology, only one time of the month a woman should be able to get pregnant, and when she's ovulating. So even that again can act off as a preventative method. So why
Right.
is it that none of those focus, those people who are pushing money behind saying go do whatever you want to do, why they're not pushing it to tell our young 15, 16-year-olds? Because that's the next thing I wanted to bring up. Like, what about the age? A 15-year-old, she didn't know what she was doing, which I kind of find it hard to believe that a 15-year-old end up doing it and don't know what she was doing and have no idea. I think if you ask a 4-year-old right now how a baby come about, they can walk you through the stages. So it would be very, very interesting to hear a 15-year-old don't know how she got that accidental thing. So, but I don't know. Why is it that argument, Dallas, is not pushed to say, or that point to say, if you don't prevent it so you don't have to terminate? Why that is not being pushed?
And see, that's my problem. And I don't think that it's not being pushed. I think women don't want to be accountable and responsible. They don't want to have to be responsible for their actions. They want to be able to, like I said, they want their sexual liberation. And that's fine. I'm fine with you sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the planet. But there, like I said, and like DP says, there are steps and measures that you can take to prevent a pregnancy. Like he said, even watching when you're menstruating, when you're ovulating. Those are things that you can do, but none of us want to be responsible. In Texas, they have a 6-week ban. So they didn't ban abortions altogether. They just banned them after 6 weeks. Well, you had women crying about that. Well, most women don't even know we're pregnant by then. But I'm like, well, hold on. You knew you had sex last night, right? You knew it was unprotected sex, right? So
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you, in a couple weeks, go take a pregnancy test to find out? Why do you have to wait till you're 3 months pregnant or you miss 2 cycles before you find out you're pregnant? It's about women skating or negating responsibility, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the problem I have with it. I don't have a problem with abortion being legal. I have a problem with women not being responsible for their actions, but they want to force men to be responsible when they decide unilaterally to bring a baby to term, because a man can't decide if she brings that baby to term. Only she can. But if she decides she wants to bring it to term and he doesn't, then that means that man can be forced into parenthood via family court and child support. And that's the problem I have with it.
I don't know if you saw this or even look into it. I just read a part of it, and somebody sent it to me, which shares my views and thing. Where this woman, I don't know if she was doing it for clout chasing or whatever, but she was saying, "Listen, leave women alone. It's actually men's fault why women get pregnant." Are there people that
That's
really
yes.
believe that and just blame men to say,
That's yes.
go ahead? Oh yeah, I like how you said
Yes.
that. Carisha says whether abortion or chain track or freezer, it's all murder. Is abortion murder?
It all depends on if you consider the fetus a baby or a clump of cells. So the ones who want to argue it's a clump of cells, they don't believe it is. But the ones who understand that this is a human life that's just at an early stage of, excuse the planes,
Yeah, that's right.
that's just at an early stage of development. Because, okay, let's say you go outside and you plant a rose garden, right? If you plant those seeds in the ground to plant a flower bed, those flowers are going to bud, but during that growth period you're still dealing with a rose bud. It may not have been
Mhm.
fully developed. It's at a certain developmental stage. So now they're looking at it like, hey, this actually is a human being, and it's always been a human being. It's just a human being in a different stage of
Different
life.
form,
that
right?
that's so different from when you're born. You're an infant, but you don't stay an infant your entire life. You develop
Exactly.
into a toddler, into a young child, into an adolescent,
Mhm.
into a young adult, into an adult. There are different stages of human life. So they like to argue that it's just a clump of cells, but in all actuality, it's always been a human. It's just at a different stage in its development.
Mhm. Mhm. It's just like, and I mentioned this Sunday on my show, where a butterfly wasn't always a butterfly.
Right. At
Neither
one
does
point,
a
it was
caterpillar remain a
a
caterpillar.
right. At one point in time, it was a caliper, but that's at a different development stage in that
Mhm.
that animal's lifetime. But
Mhm.
a human doesn't change into a different version of a human. We just develop. We have
Right.
development stages. You're a human from conception up until death. You are a human being. You're just at a different stage of development.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So, anybody else want to call? I can't believe I only got one caller this evening. What's up, guys? You can call and share, and it's free to disagree or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. If you want to call me, I see some missed call though, so I'm just pretending that because I didn't take the call. But the number, if you don't have it and you'd like to call, it is 305-654-7944. 305-654-7944. 305-654-7944. Yep. So if you're just joining us, we are discussing the overturn of the. You think this will go back? You think it's going to take another 50 something years, or maybe some election something? What you think will happen?
If it does go back, it's not going back anytime soon. Not at all. And honestly, I do believe that I think that there's a bigger picture that a lot of people aren't realizing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the stats on birth replacement, we have been on a decline in the US for birth replacement. So every year for the last, 10 or longer than that, but for years, you have seen birth replacement go down further and further and further. So think about it like this: if we're having less and less children, if every two people only produce one child, then that means you're depopulating the planet, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
if two people only produce one baby, you're depopulating. So for every abortion, that's part of depopulation. So if you're looking at the data and you're realizing that, hold on, we're not replacing humans at the same rate that we used to replace them. And then you consider the fact that, look at like Social Security. We currently have the baby boomers that are retiring by the masses right now, and they're living a lot longer than were expected. So, but you don't have the millennials and the Gen Zers that are putting into the Social Security fund because they're not gainfully employed. They don't work. They have these odd jobs, not paying taxes like we did. So there's a point where the baby boomers that are retiring have to be taken care of by the younger generation that's coming up and paying in the taxes. Well, by the time I retire, I don't think there's going to be any Social Security because nobody is going to be replacing us. So if you look at it like that, like if you look at it like the birth replacement, then we have a thing called Endangered Species Act, which means that once a species has been determined to be in danger because they're going down in numbers, then that means it is now unlawful to kill that species. So if you look at it like the human race is going extinct because we keep allowing abortions. We in America alone, we've had 63 plus million, 63 documented. There are way more than that. It's only documented that 63 million. So if you look at it as birth replacement, then how can you argue that abortion is now illegal if we actually are going extinct?
Mm. And over from time to time, I hear Canada ask for people to just come and work as their rate is very, very low, Canada birth rate. So
Hey,
I see Tanya saying here, I'm not really following. Maybe she was responding to a point uh being made at the time. Maybe you can cipher what it was, Dallas. But she said that's between the woman, her body, and God, not babysitting, buying formula, or paying for education at any point. And then she said interracial marriage is next.
I don't know if they're going to go after interracial marriage. It all depends. Based on the way Justice Alito wrote the opinion, he did talk a lot about American traditions as back to when the Constitution was actually written. So that's possible. But for me, if you look at it like from Clarence Thomas's point of view, Clarence Thomas said the next thing that they want to address is gay same-sex marriages and contraceptives, which were all Supreme Court cases as well. So that what was it? Griswold versus Connecticut was the case that said, okay, couples can use contraceptives. You can't stop anybody from preventing a pregnancy. They found that to be constitutionally lawful to not do that. It's no different from Roe. But so I don't know if they're coming after that, but if it really is about birth replacement, I can see them going after same-sex marriage because two women together or two men together cannot produce a baby. I can see them going after contraceptives if it's about the birth replacement because the use of contraceptive is to prevent a pregnancy. So if it really is about birth replacement, that's what's going to be next.
Right. Tanya says, Sister Keisha, my opinion looks how many children are killed daily with guns. What about gun laws? Tanya, why
See,
did you call? Because I'm not. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
people don't realize about gun laws is actually in the Constitution. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have a right to an abortion. So while I agree that we have those tragedies where children are dying in school, that has nothing to do. If we can be upset about a child dying in school, how do we not have that same outrage for the 63 million babies that have been aborted? How do we have selective outrage? Because someone tried to say, well, what about the kids that's taken out of school? I said, okay, find me 63 million because those are the current abortion numbers in America. So find me 63 million children that died in school because of a gun, because of a shooting. You can't find 63 million.
You think we have been programmed to have fake outrage, like cases like these? Because, like you say, I mean, when I listen to you, Dallas, I feel like I'm just listening to myself because those are the thoughts that I have, and I'm like, if somebody is alarmed because somebody shot and killed a 2-year-old, they should be alarmed for other reasons. But and as you say, I don't see the replacement. Tanya, let me address you. It's not either or. That's how I see it. Nobody should be murdering babies or shooting people. So it's yeah, but it is what it is. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
but I agree. But in all actuality, like I said, abortion is not in the Constitution. Gun rights is in the Constitution. The Second Amendment says every American citizen has the right to bear arms. That just is what it is. That's actually in the Constitution. So we can look at that. We can compare those numbers. But like I said, you're not going to find 63 million children that died in a school shooting. But we have 63 million abortions. So for me, it's selective out.
Documented. So we are going to go off here in 1 minute. So any final comments, Dallas?
The only final comment I have is I'm a person that believes in Roe v. All, and it's not to say that a father shouldn't take care of a child, but if they bring Roe back, it needs to be gender neutral because according to how Roe was decided on, it was based on information that's in the Constitution, and it was based on things that apply to all American citizens. So if Roe does come back and we allow for women to have abortions or negate parental responsibility, because that's what it is, it's saying that you have the right to self-determination. You have the right to set your own path. And if a child interferes with that path, you have the right to an abortion. So the same should hold true to men. If a woman decides unilaterally, because it's her body, her choice, if she makes the decision to have a baby, but dad doesn't want a child, dad's not ready to be the baby, the biological father does not want that child, he ought to be able to walk away and say, I'm not ready to be a parent, and nobody force him on child support. So if it comes back, it needs to be gender neutral and allow for every American citizen that has constitutional rights to be able to walk away. And like I said, it's not to say that children don't need both parents, but if women can walk away, men should be able to walk away too. So I'm for Roe v. All. I'm for if we have that right to negate parental responsibility, everybody has that right to negate parental responsibility.
Thank you very much, Lady D.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, there you have it. There you have it. There you have it. This happens every night in us. I throw out the topics that I want to talk about, and we barely even cover one. Um, so I see people commenting elsewhere about what I played at the beginning. But yeah, so gun laws is another topic, Sister Martin. Yeah, wait, maybe I can bring somebody to talk about gun laws. What do you think? You know that back in the day in the Bible, there's a part of the Bible that says you should sell your coat and buy a sword. You know, there was some warning that war was going to come up. So we have what, 3 minutes remaining. So let me play this again. Let me play this again. And I don't know how I'm going to squeeze this in, but I really wanted to hear some people take on this. Really wanted to hear some take on this one.
And his description of Jamaica's unsuccessful campaign for Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith to serve as Commonwealth Secretary General as an embarrassment.
So, comrades, I feel like the PNP starting to get it some wins in its sails, you know? Yeah, it has been.
PMP getting some wins in its sales. Getting some wins in his sales. And then he went on to I want you guys to hear for yourself.
And you might lose. What kind of fool it?
Yeah, so I want to say thanks for those of you who actually joined me tonight. Thanks for the calls. Although some of you didn't get a chance to voice your opinion.
In her division on Sunday,
well, let's see if we can get the full
that
clip now.
quote, the JLP boy, them just a shot themselves in them foot. And his description of Jamaica's unsuccessful campaign for Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith to serve as Commonwealth Secretary General as an embarrassment.
So, comrades, I feel like the PNP starting to get it some wins in its sails, you know? Yeah, it has been a rocky road. I love the vibes. I feel everybody starting to show each other some real, genuine friendship, comradeship, and love, and we're getting the momentum from it. And the JLP boy, they not stop shot themselves in them own foot. And you know, Kamina, she did her best still.
So how did you take that? Did you think he was calling the JLP boys, or it's like an afterthought? You know what I mean? I said, boy, I can't believe say Labor Dan na call. Would I be calling Labor Dan a boy if I said, boy, I can't believe Labor Dan? What are people saying? No, but what I think is Mark Golden, I don't know who are your advisors, but they need to have it to stop speak patois boss. When you chat patois, roll off smooth. You know what I mean? I say it no fit you. I actually was one of them who said that I saw, prime minister material, in Mark Golden when he was the Minister of Justice, I think it was. But the patois thing are not yours, boss. The patois thing is definitely not yours. So let me say bye-bye, good night, enjoy the rest of your evening. Remember that DP Live is every Sunday, yep, and DP Unfiltered is on Tuesday, 8 until 9. Also, remember all the events coming up, both Ride, July and August. And I tell you guys, I want you to buy your 2 tickets them one time. I don't want you to buy one and then buy the other one. All right? Buy 2 tickets at the same time. Thanks again. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay tuned for more programming right here on Caribbean Radio HD. That is it. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your night. Boy, see you. My God. Good night. Good night. Good night. All right. I think that's it. Where is it? That's it. Caribbean Radio HD, live. 24 hours programming. We have music, we have talk show. The churches comes on from time to time. All of that right here in Caribbean HD. I saw also RG and Destiny and Nikki and Nikki's the same person. And JLo was the first person that tuned in this evening. So big up yourself, JLo. I haven't seen you on a Sunday yet, but we're here every Sunday, 7 a.m. until 9. 7 until 9. And on Tuesday, we have the talk show, DP Unfiltered. So that is it. Bye. Take care. Until next time. And I always say, if you can be good, please be careful. Over and out.